American Southeast tonight, raining on Labor Day weekend plans and turning the lights out for thousands of people. Tropical storm watches and warnings have been issued up and down the East Coast as far north as Connecticut. Hermine made landfall early this morning in Florida as a Category 1 hurricane. One person has been killed thus far. There have been major flooding and property damage as well. We have Fox team coverage tonight. Meteorologist Rick Reichmuth in the Fox Weather Center. He tells us where the storm is headed. Reporter Caroline Shively in Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, where they are preparing for the worst. But we begin with correspondent Phil Keating tonight in St. Simons Island, Georgia, with a look at the damage already done. Good evening, Phil.
Good evening, Doug. This island sits about 200 miles from where Hurricane Hermine slammed into the Florida Panhandle. Still, residents here say the winds were, quote, insane. Throughout the day as Tropical Storm Hermine marched north through Georgia, her ferocity felt here diminished dramatically. Now, Hermine heads towards 23 million Americans this holiday weekend. Across the Florida Panhandle, evidence of Hurricane Hermine's impact litter towns like Cedar Key. Flooded streets, busted doors, and broken windows. One resident taunted the storm, spray painting this boarded up window. Bring it on, Hermine. And she did.
Oh my God!
80-mile-an-hour winds, heavy rains, and 5-foot storm surges along the Gulf Coast.
Well, we usually have sandbags up and everything to make sure we're prepared for it, but, I mean, it came to the walls. I mean, there's no way to prepare for that much storm surge coming in.
Many people wisely evacuated ahead of the storm. One who didn't, a homeless man in Leon County, Florida, died when a large tree crushed his tent. In Tallahassee, hundreds upon hundreds of downed trees blocked roads, broke through roofs, and toppled power lines.
This is what it is. You just listen and watch. If it gets bad, you leave. If you think you can ride it out, ride it out.
Florida Governor Rick Scott said 300,000 people lost power. Many won't have electricity returned for perhaps days.
We will spend the coming days assessing the damage and responding to the needs of our communities and Florida families. But the number one thing is to stay safe.
After downgrading to a tropical storm, Hermine still packs a punch. Rough surf and bands of wind and rain whipping the Georgia coastline on Hermine's march north through the deep south. For millions this holiday weekend, there is no fun in the sun.
About every 45 minutes, transformers were blowing until about 4 in a row. That was it.
Just a lot of wind and 5 to 10 inches of rain, bringing life-threatening flash flooding and tornado possibilities up the East Coast. And tens of thousands of Georgians tonight are also still without electricity thanks to all of those transformers that blew up in Hermine's winds and rain. Doug?
Phil Keating in St. Simons Island tonight. Thank you, Phil. North Carolina's barrier islands are now bracing for a heavy hit over the weekend. Reporter Caroline Shively is in Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. Good evening, Caroline.
Hi there, Doug, and we're already feeling the beginning of what Florida got last night and what Georgia and South Carolina have been feeling throughout the day. The rain's coming at us sideways, the winds are picking up, but the biggest change I've seen since this morning are those waves. Check out the whitecaps. The waves are getting bigger, meaner, and uglier by the hour. We're expecting a storm surge between 1 and 3 feet before this thing hits us sometime tomorrow morning. You add that with the rain totals, which have gone up over these last few hours. We're expecting 5 to 8 inches of rain. We could get up to 12 inches, and that's a problem. Think of the vulnerability of these islands here. It's this pencil-thin stretch of sand. We have the Atlantic at our back. We have the Sound at our front, a very low-lying area which could be overwhelmed. The winds as well are what we are really worrying about. We could get between 45 mile per hour, 50 mile per hour winds with gusts of even higher than that. So plenty of folks out here taking pictures, walking around, enjoying the surf now, but things should get uglier overnight. Doug, back to you.
Caroline Shively on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Thank you. Well, let's find out what Hermine will be doing this weekend. Meteorologist Rick Reichmuth at the Fox Weather Center in New York. Good evening, Rick.
Hi, Doug. Yeah, Caroline is right. It is going to be much worse across the Outer Banks overnight tonight. Center of the storm right here across parts of South Carolina, where we've seen over 10 inches of rain. Some spots cause a lot of flooding, and tornado concerns will continue to be the case throughout the evening as the storm kind of continues to rotate on shore. When that happens, that rotation from the storm causes additional rotation, and we start to see a little bit of tornado activity with the friction of the land. This will continue to pull off towards the northeast. As it does, heaviest of the rain is going to be across North Carolina throughout the overnight and into the start of the day tomorrow. Some spots there, likely 8 to 12 inches of rain, and that is going to be causing the continued threat for flash flooding. Where you see that red, we have flash flooding going on as we speak. All right, here's the track of the storm. By tomorrow afternoon, it is off the shore of the Outer Banks there. Then it settles in across parts of the Delmarva Peninsula, just to the eastern areas of New Jersey, and it settles in here for a while. Some indications we will likely see the strengthening back to hurricane strength winds right here off the shore of Jersey, likely not making a landfall, but bringing a lot of water in. Because of that, we have tropical storm warnings in effect all the way through the Jersey coastline, tropical storm watches for New York City, Long Island, coastal areas of Connecticut. We're going to see a lot of water being pulled in here. This is wave heights. Take a look at what happens here. This yellow here, Sunday evening, we're going to be watching waves potentially 25 to 30 feet high, coming in across the Jersey shore there. Keep in mind we had all the damage from Hurricane Sandy before, and people like to get out this weekend to enjoy the last weekend of summer, Doug. It is not going to happen. Potentially a lot of damage here, and a really serious situation going on for folks along areas of the Mid-Atlantic into the Northeast for this last summer holiday weekend.
All right, Rick, thank you very much. Keep us posted. We will be watching. A major